Good morning. Setting up my cameras. I have a new system today. Hoping it works. Let me get my lampshade out of the way. Hey, good morning. Hope everybody's having a great morning so far. I know it's early, especially for my West Coast people that are joining on. Hopefully everything is good. I'm trying out something new today. I'm connecting to some new software, so hopefully it works. Thanks for joining on. Remember, if you are joining me live, leave your name or a little comment and let me know where you're from if you like. Nice to know who's watching and where. And when you leave your name and a little comment, then you get entered into my raffle. So I just did a raffle a few minutes ago for last week, and my friend Lois from New York was the winner. So congratulations to Lois. Yay! Okay, with my new software, I'm not sure how well I'm going to be able to see your comments. So this is all kind of an experiment today, and I will certainly work it all out next time. So I'm just setting up my desktop camera so that we have two views. I can just switch with a click of the button now. I don't have to manipulate the camera around this time. So I'm learning. Lots of new things to learn always, right? Okay, let's see how it goes here. All right, looks like you can see my camera a little bit here. Oh, that's okay. We'll be switching that view in a little while. Not to worry. Here we go. See that? Click of a button. I can switch from my laptop, where I'm seeing you here, and then down to my desk, so I don't have to juggle you around and give you the earthquake. So, yeah. All right, hopefully that works better. Yeah, all right, now I'm seeing comments. Good morning. Oh, hi. Hi, Jane. Nice to see you. All right, Jess. Oh, good. Oh, Jessica, thank you. Thank you. I have a few buddies that have been helping me, so it's just a matter of me learning what's going on here. So, okay. So I'm using OBS, if anybody's familiar with that. Just have to kind of see how I can maybe split my screen so I can see comments. Oh, there we go. Comments and my OBS studio. All right. Okay. I've got my car making things with me on the road. Oh my goodness. Okay, Karen. Well, you're always out and about. Good for you. I always bring some stamping things with me when I go on vacation too. I can't suffer withdrawal. I can't. I have to do some things, even if it's a paper pumpkin kit or small projects that I need to get done, stacks of thank you cards or whatever. I always like to bring a little something. So, oh, hi, Isabel from South Africa. Very nice. Okay, Isabel, were you on with me once before? I remember your name looks familiar, and it was from South Africa. So was that you? Let me know. All righty. Yeah, all right. So, yay, glad to see so many people joining in today. I'm not always going to see every comment, but I will go back and I'll look later on. And if I don't answer your question as we go, then I will get it later, okay? All righty. So, who's stamping along today? Who's stamping with me live? Some people brought, I gave you a list of some things. I'm sorry it was late. I did it yesterday afternoon. I typed it all up on Facebook on a post, and I went back to it, and it was gone. And I had all my lists of all the materials and measurements, and I was like, oh my goodness. We did have a little power glitch, so maybe that kind of kicked it off, or I don't know. So, so we'll see. I had to retype it, so that's why it was late. I thought I had already sent it. So I apologize. I will get it out to you earlier next time. Nadine's stamping along, good, and she's also doing a little secretarial work for me today. So thank you, Nadine. I appreciate that. Just do the best you can. Don't worry. Marjorie's stamping. All right, awesome. So it's the purpose of this. If you haven't watched it before, it's a simple card. Simple card with a cup of coffee, Keep your coffee off to the side so you don't spill it on your projects. This isn't meant to be a complicated tutorial. You might pick up a few little tips and tricks along the way, and get some ideas for some weekend crafting. So just a simple, casual little get together. All right, I have my coffee cup this time. It says, if found in microwave, please return to grandma. Right, because I am notorious for reheating my coffee or tea and forgetting about it in the microwave. Somebody finds it later when they go to heat something else up, and it's like, oh yeah, that's me. So my daughter got me this for my grandchildren to give to me, and sure enough, it fits. It fits. I know you learn something new every week. Okay, well, good. I'm glad. And little tips and tricks. It might be a tiny little thing, but sometimes can make a difference. All right. So okay, good. I'm glad. So take your sip, and we'll get started here. Maybe even next time I'll get to learn how to do the picture-in-picture, so I'll be able to see you and face you and have the down camera. So little things, little bits at a time. Okay, so I'm going to switch over, and there we go. See, no earthquakes. Nice and easy. Push of a button. Okie dokie. So I asked you to have a card base, your typical card base, measuring 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then a layer that is your typical first layer size, a 1/4 inch less, so that is 4 by 5 1/4, and I asked you to emboss it. All right, so a fairly subtle embossing folder will work, or just one of your favorites. We're going to add some flowers to the top of it, so you can decide what you want. I did a few of them here, and then I kind of played around with a few different ones, so you'll see them on my, when I show you the other cards I made already. Okay, so the ones that I have here, I just want to show you some options, this is Pretty Flowers, it's called. This is not a 3D embossing folder. This is pretty flat on top. So you basically only have 2 layers on here. You have your embossed layer, which is everything that's embossed is up to the same layer. And then the one that's debossed, the one that's underneath. Okay, so just 2 layers. It's flat. The embossing folders are much thinner and more pliable. And they, let me get them here. They have a different formula for the sandwich, so to speak. We call it a sandwich, the way you coordinate your plates and your stamp and cut and emboss machine. So the ones that are not 3D, okay, they don't say 3D on them, they just say embossing folder, and they are thinner and more pliable, so you can kind of bend them a little bit more as opposed to the ones that are 3D. And now what 3D means, I mean, obviously this is 3D also, but reason they call it 3D is because it's more 3D. So let's take the fern, for example. I'm using this on one of the other cards. It is far less pliable and flexible, much thicker, and it does say 3D on there, and you will need a different sandwich for your embossing machine. So if you have the Stampin' Up! One, you need your base plate, your folder with your paper inside, and the gray plate on top for the 3D. If you're doing just the regular ones, you just need your base plate and your 2 lucite plates between the folder. With a folder between the plates. Okay, so I have the Pretty Flowers there, and I have gingham I'm going to use on another card, so we'll see that one later. This one is the Brick and Mortar 3D. That one's a lot of fun. There is a new brick or stone folder coming out in the new catalog. So that should be fun. It's a more rough look to it, I believe. And then there is, good for masculine cards, the timber or more nature-oriented cards. Can you see that properly? Okay, very good. And then I also have this the cane embossing folder that's been very popular lately, so that one's a lot of fun. And then this quatrefoil, a lot of people look at that and not sure how to pronounce that. Okay, quatre, almost like in French, quatrefoil tile, and it's tile because it's all integrated one into the other, so it does look like tiles. Here's the embossing, and that one again is not 3D, okay, but it does have a lot of detail in it. But no, all the raised parts are of equal height, so that's why it's not 3D. But it all depends on the look that you want. Okay, now I did a little research. I said, okay, I knew what quatrefoil looked like, but I said, where did that come from? What's all the info on there? So basically, it's quattro meaning four and foil meaning leaf. Okay, it comes from a Latin derivation where it means four leaves. And so that's why the pattern on a quatrefoil pattern has four sections, top, bottom, left, and right. And sometimes they are made to look like overlapping circles, things that are integrated. And this pattern dates back to like between the 13th and 17th centuries. So long time ago. Some people in the Christian religion think it represents Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, disciples from the Bible. From Native American, they often think of it as north, south, east, and west, the ends of the earth. And some other cultures just look at it as they like the symmetry of the pattern, and it represents harmony and simplicity. So that's the history of the quatrefoil. So hopefully you did learn something new today. Okay. Oh, hi, Pat. Glad you got on. Hi, Patsy, Sue. Oh, some familiar names. Haven't seen your faces, but I know your names. So, and we've been chatting, so that's good. Alrighty, so I am going to show you a card that I made with a quatrefoil after we do the card today. All right, so you need your card base. You need an embossing folder. I'm going to use the pretty flowers. I'll save these for another time. Sometimes it might be nice, as a little hint, a little suggestion is to emboss a sheet and keep it in with your folder. Even though it shows on front, it looks so different in person. So sometimes I like to keep one or multiples, that way I have a go-to, right in my package with the embossing folder. It does look very, very different than on the packaging itself. So that way, you get to see or you get to try it out right on your card before you commit to it. Just a little hint there. All right, so I'm using ink that is the same color as my card base. I'm going to burnish my score line. And we can go actually attach that right onto your card right away because we're not going to wrap anything around it. So when something is embossed, remember your glue is mostly needed on the part that's raised, right, where you're putting the glue, because if it seeps down into the lower part, that's not going to hit your paper. So make sure you use a little extra adhesive and make sure you get it on the parts that are raised when you're using embossing folders. Anything with dimension. Okay, there we go. Hi, Melinda. Good to see you. Annette, you're on. Annette likes to watch. She doesn't craft along, but she likes to watch. Okay, so before you did that, we could have done a little coloring on there with our ink and the blending brush that I asked you to bring, but that's okay because we're not going to go to the end of this anyway. So when you're using your blending brushes, you should have a piece of scrap paper off to the side, because when you pick up some ink with your blending brush, it's going to be a pretty harsh look right from the beginning, especially if your ink pad is kind of juicy. All right, so tap off a little bit. I know it seems counterintuitive to ink it and tap it off, but you really can't control how much you're picking up here, and you don't want that first harsh look there. Now when you're blending, you want to start in circular motions, start light, don't go hard on the paper. Just going to go a little light, and we're going to go in circular motions and spread it out. So obviously as the ink comes up, you're going to get a little bit lighter look, and then you can always add more. You can't take it off once it's there. So we're just going to put a little bit of what I'm going to call like a glow of color sort of in the middle and have it fade out. So tap off a little bit there. I'm going to make it a little darker in the middle and then work it a little bit to the outside. And what this does with the embossing folders is it really brings out some of that texture, because most of the ink now is getting caught on the top and the edges of the raised pattern. So that's really going to kind of highlight that and bring out the pattern just a little bit. Now we don't want to do too much, just want sort of like a soft glow. And you might want to keep a little bit more to the right, because we're going to put some other flowers sort of over here and our sentiment coming off. So you could bring it down kind of quite a bit so you see it. You don't want to be doing this and then have it all covered up. So we will just kind of bring it around, get that nice little glow there. And I'm using polished pink. It's going to be leaving us on May 2nd when the new catalog begins. Okay, this was an ink color. I'm going to feature some of the new ink colors. Actually, we're going to feature Soft Succulent a lot today because I'm really going to miss that one. If you love the colors, you can find them on the last chance list. Some things might be sold out by now. I haven't checked in the last day or two, but the color things do go quickly. All right, so like I said, we just want a little bit, slightly darker in the middle and just kind of fading and getting lighter toward the end. I know it's hard to see with the lighting here, but just little hints, little hint of color there. All right, your blending brush, you can just rub off, and look, it basically comes clean. At some point, you can just run this under water and it'll rinse out. It does take a long time to dry though first, because those bristles, there are lots of millions and millions of bristles in there, and they're so tightly packed that it will take some time to dry. So make sure you wash them when you don't think you're going to be needing them again for a little while. It might take a couple days. I don't know. I haven't washed mine. I just keep rubbing them. And I have one for each color. I found these little clips on Etsy, and I keep mine covered because I don't use them all the time. I don't want them to get dusty. I figure this keeps them a little cleaner. This is actually half a bag from the Stampin' Blends. Fits perfectly over there, and I did write pink on there. Not that I can't tell it's not pink, but just one of those things. I could see it quickly, and so that's what I do, and I just keep them in a little, it's actually like a sour cream container that I covered with my favorite little daisy pattern duct tape. And that's what's on my desk. Nothing fancy. And now Stampin' Up! Also has the mini brushes. So if you want to get into a very small area, you can get those in packs of 3 as well. All right, so moving on, I am going to be using, here's my extra piece of paper, my pink. I'm going to be using the, here it is, Petal Park stamp set. Comes with a coordinating punch, and of course then it has also the Regency Park Designer Series paper, which is just beautiful. Very lovely. Okay, and has some nice nice colors. Has that pale papaya, really nice. I think, does this one match up with the punch? I think it does. Some of the Stampin' Up! Papers do that. Yes, look at that. Well, kind of. Yeah, it probably would if I got the right angle. If I was able to get in there, it might fit, right? Well, I'd have to try it out. It looks like it would fit, but I don't know, maybe not. Some of the papers do that, match up with the dies or the punches. So very pretty. The Regency Park DSP is retiring. The Designer Series paper, I have to remember to say that. Some people say, what's DSP? Oh, you love it too, Kay? It's just so beautiful. I love the blues. Designer Series paper, DSP. So this is retiring. The set and the punch is not. However, when a set is first introduced as a combination in a bundle, like the Petal Park and the punch, and there's another set that comes with the dies, they are bundled together for a 10% discount. However, in the new catalog, you don't get that bundled 10% anymore. So that's a hint that maybe if you want to save the 10%, you should get it before the new catalog starts. Okay, so this one is fun. I'm going to actually stamp tone on tone here. There are many ways you can do this stamp set and get some great results, but I'm going to just actually stamp this outline stamp onto the petal pink so I don't have to color it in. If you want to do something quick, that's a good way to do it. If you just want a bold look, that's the way to do it. Otherwise, you can stamp. I showed this last week, right, with the blues. Okay. Otherwise, you can stamp the outline, and then you can stamp the filler, and you sometimes want to stamp that off first. What I do with my scrap paper. I'll get another one. Okay, so stamp off meaning take some of the ink off, so then you'll get a lighter tone. And because it's photopolymer, you can line it up right on there. Okay, and then you get that nice pretty look, and then you can punch it out just like that. I'm going to leave it as is because I'm not using it this way today. So I'm just going to put that to the side. And it also comes with the leaves. You can do the same thing, called two-step stamping. And it says it way down here, two-step. And so you can fill in the leaves with that, or you can leave them plain. Lots of options. You can also do the filler and then just color it in with watercolor pencils or your Stampin' Blends. So a lot of options there. I will stamp just the outline on my petal pink. And notice I'm orienting it the same way that I'm going to punch it. So when I go to punch it, I want the two bigger flowers down here and the little one up there. Let me just make sure that's nice and juicy. Otherwise, I might have to trim my paper a little bit in order to kind of wiggle it in there. Okay, there is even a punch, as you can see, for one of the leaves. And very easy to punch that out. Give a good squeeze, and out they come. All right. So that's going to be my flowers, and I'm going to do similar with the soft succulent. I keep my scraps in a cello bag, so let me find a piece that will work. I Right, don't you just love those colors together? That's so sweet. I love it. Now this stamp is big. It's this is all one stamp. And so is this, so that they can match up easily. I'm going to show you a little trick here where I learned when I first started playing with this. I'm close to the side. When I went to line these up, at first it wasn't as easy, I guess you could say, as I thought, because I'll show you why in a minute. I have this on here now, so I'm going to stamp this. When I do it on the soft succulent, I don't necessarily have to do the inner part unless I want a little bit darker look to it. So let me just clean this off for a minute. I have my chamois. And this is one reason why I like cutting it in smaller pieces sometimes, so I can just take my chamois to the block rather than try to move the big block around my chamois. Okay, so you'll notice when I take this off, I notice that this is pretty thin in here. And then when you put it down, it could easily move. In a way, that's one beauty of using photopolymer, because sometimes if you have a sentiment or something, you can always move it. You can arch it. You can make it straight or curved or whatever. But so if this just laid down as is, that's fine. You get that. But when I got the filler, I found it was even thinner in the middle. Right? Look how thin that is. And it's so easy for it to move and not line up. So what I suggest is to lay it on the image that you just stamped first. Line it up there, and then bring your block to it. Because when I put it down, it at first bent at one point. I'm thinking, okay, this isn't lining up. So this would be the better way to do that. Just, you could see right through it, line it up with your outline on your paper, and then pick it up with your block, and then you'd be ready to stamp. So I'll show you what that looks like colored in. Yes, Jessica, use the punch upside down, because otherwise you can't see where it's going when it's in like that, right? So even though these probably line up, you want to be more precise. So you want to use it upside down so you can see exactly where that's going to line up with your stamped image. Okay, so hope that's helpful. I'm going to stamp this off just a little bit. It's already kind of light color, so just did a very light dab, and I can line that right up right there. And look how pretty that is, right? And then you put your flowers around in there and get a really pretty card. So that would look nice on just as is. I might even just cut that out, use that on another card sometime. And if you want the lighter flowers, punch those out and use those in there too, or mix and match them. Okay, so for now, let me put this aside. We're going to use this. All right, so back to our stamping our leaves. Let me go back to my outline. I like doing that one first. I don't know. You can do it either way. Just me. Now, this is not going to fit on my scrap, but I do like to use up my scraps. So I am going to stamp one side and then the other, because I'm going to fussy cut them out. I know, no stamp for this, unfortunately. I mean punch. No punch for this, or die cut. That's okay, because it's fairly easy, and I'll show you how that goes. Now I'm going to turn it around and get the other side, so it's a little different. Okay, so I asked you to bring materials that were some kind of floral element, using, usually 3 is a good number, depending on the size of what you brought along. You can decide how many works on your card. All right, so I'm going to cut that piece, these little leaves separately. I'm just going to get that easier to manipulate. And I'm going to leave just a little border, and I'm not going to get too fussy with my fussy cutting. I'm just going to go around. My suggestion when fussy cutting is to keep the scissors moving. That way you get smooth lines. Don't go cut, 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 because then you might get some jagged lines. You don't have to go all the way down in between these flowers. Just kind of cut around. Okay, so I'm leaving just a little bit of a border. Just going to do a little wiggling over here. I'm not going to get too fussy with those little leaves. Get the essence of those edges there. Right, just neaten up this tip and I'm done. Okay, so that's going to be part of my card over here. Let me cut this little guy here. I'm not worrying about that didn't come out, that didn't stamp on the bottom, because that's going to be tucked behind a flower anyway. Nice and easy. Come on. Okay, so Jessica, you're not working today? Have a day off? Or maybe I shouldn't say. Coffee break, maybe? I know Jessica has long hours. She works hard. One of my recent downlines to my team, too. Okay, so here we go. See how quickly this goes? Don't have to be too perfect with it. It's going to have a little collagey look anyway. Cut off that big piece, easier to manipulate. And I'm not going to worry about the bottom because that's getting tucked under other cards, other flowers. All right, there we go. All set. Oh, Jessica's looking for a house. Yeah, good luck. There's one in my neighborhood next door just sold, and another one going up soon. They do go quickly. It's crazy these days. Okay, so before we glue these on, we're actually going to create our ribbon element. So I asked you to have a ribbon, fairly thin ribbon. Oh, look at this. I forgot that this was already kind of colored. I went over it with another color to show how you can color the ribbon. Do you see the difference there? So that was a scrap that I had. All right, so we're going to have to make this a little shorter because I think I'm all out of the petal pink ribbon. Yes, I am. Okay, not a problem. I'm just going to cut it close to here, and we'll just go with a little bit shorter piece. And I asked you to have some twine, baker's twine, or the metallic twine is good too. We're going to have probably about 6 or 7 inches, whatever is easy for you to manipulate. And then we're going to get our tag ready. I'm using the Tailor Made Tag dies. These are so much fun. A lot of different sizes, 2 different patterns, and you even have the little covers for the holes if you like. I'm not using those today. I'm just going to keep it a little easier. So I'm going to use the smallest one here. The smallest one on this side could work as well, and I will show you those on another card. I like to put my dies on these magnet sheets I get from Stamp and Storage. If you're not familiar with it, and you want a link for 10% off your first order, let me know and I will send you that link. I get some points for the referral and you get 10% off your first order, just your first one. Okay, and then once you are a customer, you can start earning rewards on your purchases and your referrals as well. I'm going to use Birthday Wishes. That is from Nested Friends. It's a nice size for this card. We want something just small and delicate. So this is a set I recently got. It's not in the new catalog, but it is carrying over. So Birthday Wishes is what I'm using here. I'm going to do that in black. Could have done it in the petal pink as well. But you decide what you want to do there. Did I get it good? Yes, I did. Oh. Okay, so now I made this mistake once. I'm going to want the tag to hang this way. So my first time, I just stamped and I put my tag going this way. So think about how that's going to go on your card. It's actually going to hang in this direction because I want my flowers a little bit more to the left. So I'm going to orient this slightly this way so my words are to the end of the tag, and we're going to put our ribbon, and this is going to be tucked under the flowers. Let me bring my mini machine in here. We have tight quarters here. I have my plates, my number 1 base plate, number 2 lucite plate. I'll line that up. Put the other lucite plate on top and crank it through. Okay, if you're afraid of it moving, use a little washi tape. And that will hold it in position. Okay, so here we go. You can use your pick tool to pop out little bits that might be stuck in there still. And that's going to get tucked under there. So we're going to put our ribbon in first. So there's a little hole there. If you don't have a tag, you can always just cut a small piece. Okay, stamp it and then cut it small. And then you can always use your pick tool to pop a hole in there. And then you can feed your ribbon through. Okay, or you can just put it on there, you know, overlapping the ribbon, however you like that to be. Okay, you can make it work. But I do recommend those Tailor Made tags. And look, they have the beautiful stitching all around them too. Nice toppers over here. And it makes the hole for you. Do a bunch of them and you'll be good. Now, instead of tying this in a knot, we're actually going to tie it up with the twine. So we're going to put a little bow, a little knot right here. You can decide if you want the full bow or if you want just a knot. I like to start making my loop first. It's a little bit easier that way. And then I'm going to feed in the ribbon. And then pull it tight. If you're using metallic, the metallic twine, it doesn't stay tight as well. So sometimes putting a little dot of glue right here is helpful to hold it together. All right, so this is going to look really cute. That you can make a bow or just a knot. I'm going to attempt a tiny bow here. There we go. A little smaller. And here. And then I'll trim off the edges. You can leave them long and wispy or short and sweet. All right, so we're actually going to put down the tag first and build the flowers around it. So I'm going to put dimensionals on the back here. I might just put 3. That folds down nice. And I'm going to put it somewhere down around here so we can put our flowers a little under, a little over, and as if the flowers are growing around the tag. All right, so I'm going to spread that apart a little bit. I'm going to glue down the leaves and pop up the flowers. So you kind of get an idea how you want it. I like some of the flowers to hold down part of the ribbon and some of the ribbon to be sticking up. So kind of get an idea. Sometimes I even overlap this over here. But this time I think I'm just going to put something else there. So just kind of figure out how you want all that. Maybe something like this. And then start tacking it down. So I'm just going to hold the other things in place, put my glue on my leaves. And tuck those underneath there. I'll do the other leaf, bunch of leaves. How are you all making out? What sets are you using, those people who are crafting along? Let me know. What embossing folders? Oh, reverse tweezers are good. Yep. Yes, Kay, you're right. I have some, but I haven't used them in a while. Oh well, they were here someplace. I have my regular tweezers here. I kind of lost them, but it is helpful, even if you have regular tweezers, to kind of figure out where you want all that to be. Okay, so dimensionals on the back of your flowers. I used up this sheet, so I am now going to cut some of the edges and use those. Use this one for the little guy. Actually, I gotta use that one for the middle one. There we go, one for each will do. Cut a smaller piece. I actually keep a separate little bag for my edges. So when I know I want to definitely just pull off these and not have to cut, notice I put regular at the top. Then I have my minis, and then I have a separate little bag just for all the edges. So when I need something, maybe I want a whole big thin piece of dimensionals. So, or maybe I don't want to take the time to cut. So I just keep all my edges together. And I know my other is my go-to to just pull them off. And then of course I have one for the black, the regular black, and I have the mini black, and then I have the sheets, okay, the foam sheet. Got it all. My strips are in the other drawer because they don't fit on my desktop. I don't use them quite as much. All right, let's arrange our bouquet here. I like to take them all off at once and then trying to figure out where they're going to go. Right, you're using True Beauty. Oh, that's a pretty one, Nadine. Maybe I'll tuck this little piece of the ribbon underneath that flower. And I'll tuck this under the bow. A little bit on there. And this one can go underneath. Okay, so it's like they're intertwined. So arrange it however you like. So isn't that sweet? You have that little bit of that pink glow going on there. And, oh, maybe I'd like to put this over here. Might finish that off nicely. And I'll show you a few others that I did. Put that in there. Here in Maryland, the flowering trees are still doing their thing. We have the red buds out now, so pretty. the dogwoods, the pink and the white, and a few of the other flowering ones that some of them I don't know, but they're so, it looks so pretty around here. I just love it. Okay, put your dies back so you don't lose them. And that's the card in Petal Pink. Now let me show you some others that I did in some of the other colors. And some, there we go. Here's one in one of the new colors, Marine Mist. I'm sorry, Misty Moonlight, sorry. Oh my goodness, Misty Moonlight. So here's the same card, just in the different color. But let's add a few embellishments on here, like I did here. I added those centers and I put one of those little dragonflies on there. Isn't it adorable? I just love that. They got overmissed, I think, overlooked in the old catalog. You can still get those. They're not carrying over, but you can still get some in the last chance list. So let's put some embellishments on here. I am going to choose the opal rounds, the 2021-23 in color opal rounds, and obviously it uses all those in colors, so I'm going to use the pink on the center of the flowers. And use your pick tool. You can either use the sharp end or the putty end is made just for this occasion. You can just pick up those right with that putty end and stick that on there. So I'll use small ones for the smaller flowers. And now that adds just a little bit more shine, right? Makes that extra pretty there. And I'm going to then put another little dragonfly on there. So I'm going to show you how to do that. They don't have adhesive back like the butterflies do. So you have to use your own glue dots for that. So here they come in this little round container. The ones with the adhesive come on a sheet, right? And they're sticky to the sheet. So obviously these little wings are teeny tiny and the glue dot would be too fat for that. So just roll it. And you can start rolling it right on the wheel there and stick it to the back of your dragonfly wing. Do the same thing on the other side. Oh, you're welcome, Isabella. Thanks for joining on. Appreciate that. Okay, reminder, don't forget to say a little hello in the comments and you get entered into my raffle. Okay, so I'm going to put this little guy here, a little bit on an angle. It is so pretty and shiny. I just love that. Love it. So there it is in the Misty Moonlight returning color. This was an in color a little while ago and it's coming back. And I used the soft succulent ribbon on that one. I didn't have the blue, but I like the green. I want to bring in more of the green on there. So what else was I going to say on this? Okay, I used the quatrefoil and I brushed it with the blue. Oh, take a look at the blue flowers. You see a little white in there? Well, I stamped the Misty Moonlight on the Misty Moonlight paper. That's the only in color I have right now. My order's coming today sometime with all the new colors. So stay posted. I'll share that. I'll do an unboxing video and show you all the new things. But it looked a little too dull. So what I did was I took my Whisper White ink and I took one of my clear blocks and I squeezed a little bit of ink onto my block, just a little dot. So I wanted to give it some white highlights. Okay, so I'm not putting too much on. You really don't need all that much. You could use a regular thin paintbrush if you like to paint that on. I was using my blender pen. Now the blender pen already has a little bit of juiciness in there, so it is going to water down the ink a little bit, but that's okay because I didn't want it too dark here. You can just pick up, use this as a little palette, pick up your white, and then put a few little streaks on there, and it will look a little dark at first, but then it will soak into the paper a little bit. Let it dry, and then you can go over it with another layer. When you're done, just wipe that off on your scrap paper, and you'll be good to go. Okay, just wipe it until it's clean, and that gives just that little extra shine to there. Now, speaking of shine, another thing you can do, I'm going to do it on here. It's hard to see this on the camera though, guys. Wink of Stella is another way to add a little extra something to your cards. It will give, it's a little glitter liquid. It's very, very fine. It's not going to come off on your paper, I mean on your hand. But if you go over your cardstock, your image, it's going to be a little hard to see, but you can kind of see those two petals that I did there. It does have that a little hint of shimmer. I would say shimmer rather than like actual glitter chunks. And notice it does make the flower a little bit darker in there. And because it is liquidy, it is going to maybe spread that ink a little bit, which can be a good thing. So I'm going to just add that because it kind of matches the little glimmer in those opal rounds. And by the way, guys, the last chance item list has a lot of embellishments that are discounted. You can get some really good bargains there, including these opal rounds and those dragonflies. I forget what the discounts are because I made my order over a week ago, but check them out. I'm not even sure what's available anymore, but one of my customers ordered a lot of embellishments, and she said she had so much fun looking at them with her daughter and just thumbing through them when they came. If you want to let it dry and then go over it again, it will make the glitter, like give it another layer of glitter, so to speak, and make it even brighter. I wish you could see this in person. Right? It looks really, really pretty. Okay, the camera sometimes changes the color of the computer, rather. All right, so that's number 2. Need to make some room here for it, showing you the others. So then, while I was designing this card, I actually started off by stamping the blue flowers like this with the white. But when I put it on the white background, I didn't like it. It didn't stand out enough. So that's why I switched over to this. But then I had the blue flowers to play with, so can't let those go to waste. So I decided to reverse the colors here. I used soft succulent on the front, and I used a white card base, and I used the blue flowers that were stamped on the white, and I used the lighter looking leaf too. So it's sort of a reverse idea here, and I thought that came out really pretty as well. Which one do you guys like? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Jessica, the dragonflies are flat on the back. Yep, I love them. They're flat on the back, and they don't pop up too much. You know, you might want to put another piece of cardstock over this when you mail it. You don't want it breaking through the envelope. So it probably wouldn't make it too thick that it would need extra postage, but it will, I don't know, just add something really nice to the card. Okay, so here we go. Now, I use the white glitter ribbon, what do they call it here? Glittered organdy ribbon, and that's in the new catalog as well. That's carrying over, and we already have that, but it's in the new catalog. It has those little specks of iridescent glitter in there, so that's pretty to give that a little shine. Otherwise, it can look a little dull. And on this one, to pick up on that glitter there, I did use some Wink of Stella as well. Now, you might be looking at my twine here thinking, I didn't know we had soft succulent twine. Well, we don't. Just take your twine and go over it with your blending pen, and you can color any twine with that alcohol ink blending pen. Make it match. And so I thought that kind of looked nice. White would have looked nice too, would have showed up against the darker, against the green background. So there's that. And now I did another one. This uses a quatrefoil also. These two use that. And I want to use the gingham background. And I want to use another retiring color. So I did one in papaya. I thought that came out really pretty as well. Again, using the opal rounds and the end colors. And this time I tied it, as you can see, with the gold twine. It comes in packs of gold and silver. A Simply Elegant Trim is what it's called. And this one, to tie in some of the gold, I put those little butterflies. Now the dragonflies do stick up more than the butterflies. Butterflies are more flat. But you have silver here as opposed to the gold. So I thought that was really pretty. Can you notice one thing I didn't do? I didn't do the blending in the back. With the gingham here, I just, kind of like that pattern. I didn't want to put the color in there. I just wanted to do one plain. And I think that's a nice, sharp, crisp look. Okay, really pretty there. So, and of course, you don't have to do flowers. My next step was to do a similar thing. I won't take your time today. I will do it up and post it. The fern background embossing, I thought I could try doing the Forever Fern images that were already die cut in my little thing here. Sometimes I just die cut a bunch of things to have ahead of time. So I pulled out some that were already stamped and die cut. And I wanted 2 different tones of green so it didn't look too much the same. And here's the tag that I told you I did backwards. So instead of hanging it off this way, it's going to have to hang this way. So this one I will actually start. I'll do the same thing but have the images on the right. Because this is kind of big, I'm only going to use 2. It's almost like we have a branch here and a branch here. So that counts as 2 in my book. So we'll do that, and I'll choose either the soft succulent ribbon to go on there. Then I was thinking maybe the silver twine to tie it could look pretty. I used gold over there, so maybe the silver and that soft succulent look really nice, I think. So I will do that up, and you can come back and look at that. So I will make another post up in the a new post where you can share your versions of the cards. It's always nice to see what other people do. And here we go. I'll get all of these back in view so you can take a quick look before I switch the camera around and say hello. So retiring colors, retiring colors, retiring colors. And the Misty Moonlight is coming back. So yay, I love that color. And I'll show you some of the new things that I'll be getting. So I'm going to turn the camera around and talk to you a little bit more before signing off. And so nice and easy. Watch this. Click of a button. Ta-da! Here I am. I love it. Okay, so like I said, next step, I'll get picture-in-picture so you can still be looking at the cards while you're looking at me too. Probably like to look at the cards better. That's okay. I hope everybody has a great day. Do you have any questions? You like the blue flower on the tag of cards? Right? Yeah, so added a little something there. I like to put the actual sentiment off to the end to make sure it's not hidden by the flowers, so that leaves space up here for something. So that's why I put either the butterfly or the dragonfly to kind of fill up that space there. So thank you. Thanks for noticing that. Okay. Oh, thanks, Jane. What a sweet sentiment that you gave there. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Any thoughts about the new catalog? Oh, you know what? I can give you a sneak peek on 2 of the sets. Want to see? I had a big order, and it came in 3 boxes. One was my catalogs. I had 2 cases of catalog, like 16 catalogs. The other was the Misty Moonlight, which I already had some of that paper left over, and these 2 sets. But now the rest will come later. So one of the collections is called Beautiful Balloons, and it is all about birthdays and hooray, celebration. You did it. I think it's time for celebration. Happy birthday. You did it. Yay, you. So thrilled for you. Let's get our celebration on. So you have a variety of balloons and banners, and you can do that double stamping again. And it comes with dies and, of course, DSP. It's a whole collection. You can get the whole thing, or you can get just the bundle with the stamp set and the dies. So that's coming later today. And then there's a cute one for the kitties, or it doesn't have to be kitties, but Little Monkey. Comes with a monkey builder punch. I don't remember which one it punches out. Probably this one here. But you can certainly fussy cut the others. And it cuts out the little face, I believe, separately so that you can build the monkey. That's why it's called a builder punch, because there's different parts of the monkey or whatever element you're building. Okay, maybe the heart over here. Okay, I'm not sure. But it's really cute, right? So I can imagine doing some fun cards for the kids with that, or just anybody who likes to monkey around. All right. Okay. Well, thank you, Annette. You stuck through the whole thing. God bless you. Did you have your cup of coffee? I need my cup of coffee. So anyway, Annette, I'm going to be up there soon. I'm hoping to see you. Hope I can, grab a cup of coffee in person with you and the rest of the gang. And we'll certainly be in touch. I miss you. Hey, Marcia, you made it on. Okay, I thought you were working today. Glad you got on. All right, there's a little bit of a delay in what I see, so I'm sorry if I don't get your messages right away. But anyway, well, cheers to a good week. Oh, next week, I started something some of you have heard. I'm doing a Cards for Troops at the local coffee shop. It's going to be every third Friday at 10 o'clock. This week it's 10:30. But it's going to be regularly 10 o'clock to 11:30. So if you are in the Maryland area or know somebody who is or would like to join in, I supply all the products to make the cards, and you just come and be my man or woman power. And we will donate the cards to United for the Troops. I package up bunches of greeting cards. They get put into care packages that get sent overseas. United for the Troops just celebrated sending their 30,000th box to deployed men in service, men and women deployed overseas. So it's just amazing the work that the Rasmuths do and the organization that they've created ever since their son was in Iraq many years ago. And they sent care packages to him, and he said, well, this is all nice, but he feels bad because nobody else was getting care packages. So they've built up their nonprofit, United for the Troops. Look it up online and see all the work that they do. I'll put a link in the in my one of my posts here so that you can see. So anyway, we're going to be making Cards for Troops every third Friday, not in May, but this next Friday. We're skipping May, and then from June on, I have a meeting room in the coffee shop reserved. So if you're in the Arbutus area, it's the next town over from me, you can pop in, get a cup of coffee to support the shop. They let me use the room for free, and we can get a bunch of cards made. Last time there were like just 3 or 4 of us, and we made 40 cards. So I like to get tons of cards made and like to have the fellowship of joining other stampers. So you could just show up. People who could stop in for a cup of coffee can just pop in, make a card or two, or stay the whole time, hour and a half, whatever you want to do. So if anybody else wants to donate cards to the troops, contact me. How about email me at Lorraine at stamperlorraine.com, and we'll work something out where maybe you can send me some cards and then I'll add them to our collection. All right, it is a worthy cause. Okay, these are blank greeting cards that the deployed soldiers can send back home. If they want to send a birthday card or just a note saying I miss you or whatever. Okay, so just little touches of home that get put in these things. Also, handwritten letters are always welcome. Okay, just saying, we support you. and we're all rooting for you and thinking of you, keeping everyone in our prayers. So just if you want to be involved in some way, let me know. I said you can make up a few cards, send them in an envelope to me, and I'll include them in. So just email me, Lorraine@stampwithlorraine.com. Okay? Alrighty, so we'll be in touch. I will do an unboxing. We'll have a lot of new things to look at, and I'll be busy trying out the new products. And then May 2nd is when the new catalog officially begins. All right, so have a great weekend, everybody. Share your cards, send your cards, enjoy your craft. And so next week we won't be meeting at this time, but I'll arrange a different time. So we'll do something, but just at a different time, not 10 o'clock next Friday. All right? Okay, cheers, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.